It's becoming clear that President Trump has no way out of the government shutdown he's boxed himself into. For more on this, it's time for a closer look. The shutdown is having real effects for millions of people, and that includes law enforcement officials going without pay. Yesterday, in his confirmation hearing, Trump's pick for Attorney General William Barr was asked about the effect on law enforcement and said the shutdown was the fault of both sides.
People would like to see the shutdown ended, and that's why people want to see some kind of compromise. And, you call it the Trump shutdown, but, I mean, it takes two to tango.
Okay, but this is not a tango. Trump is the only one dancing. And judging from how he moves his hands, he's doing some off-brand version of the Macarena. I mean, look at him. He looks like a grandpa at a wedding. Hey, macaroni. It's not both sides. We all remember the meeting in the Oval Office where Trump literally said he was proud to shut down the government. And yet, despite the fact that he is on camera saying the shutdown would be his fault, Trump actually thinks he's winning the argument. CNN reported yesterday that Trump has been telling aides and allies that he believes he is winning the battle for public support. Well, of course he believes that. He watches more Fox News than all the residents of a Texas senior center combined. And Trump always thinks he can win any fight. He could be in the octagon with Conor McGregor taking a kick to the face, and he'd say, "Did you see? I just headbutted his foot with my face." Trump also thinks his Oval Office speech on the wall last week really moved public opinion to his side. Now, you might be asking yourself, wait, Trump gave a speech from the Oval Office last week? And that's because everyone has already forgotten about it. That speech was only a week ago, and it's already been eclipsed by several insane news stories, from Trump's trip to the southern border, to the fact that the FBI thought he was a Russian asset, to the fact that the White House is serving so much fast food, they've added a drive-thru. What's next? Is he gonna... Is he going to try to achieve peace in the Middle East with a summit at Chuck E. Cheese? No quarters for anyone till you sort this out. So yes, Trump really did give a primetime address on the wall last week, and he thinks it helped sway public opinion to his side, but the actual polling says something very different.
Within the last half hour, Quinnipiac has just come out with a new poll asking, did the president's speech last week from the Oval Office change your mind about the wall? Only 2% said yes.
2%? Maybe the speech only polled at 2% because Trump's eye was only 2% open. That's why he thinks he can win any fight. He's Popeye, except with bacon instead of spinach. Trump's argument is not working because it's detached from reality. It's also very hard to follow. For example, Trump has recently found a new favorite line that he keeps repeating at all of his public appearances. Walls work because cars have wheels.
They say a wall is medieval. Well, so is a wheel. A wheel is older than a wall. And I looked at every single car out there, even the really expensive ones that the Secret Service uses, and believe me, they are expensive. I said, do they all have wheels? Yes. Oh, I thought it was medieval. The wheel is older than the wall. You know that? And there are some things that work. You know what? A wheel works and a wall works. They say it's medieval. Well, so is the wheel medieval. I looked at all the vans and all of the serious equipment that they surrounded me with yesterday. The Secret Service, the police, the Border Patrol, ICE. Every one of those had the wheel. Well, they say wheels are medieval too, but some things don't change. Wheels and walls.
Hey, I'm worried about Grandpa. Yeah, no, it's, yeah. No, it's wheel wall. Yeah, it's wheel wall. I gotta go. He just keeps saying the same things over and over. In other words, he's hitting a wall and his brain is going around like a wheel. But I guess now we know what Trump's been doing all day in the Oval Office during the shutdown, just staring out the window, counting all the wheels on the car. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no, a bus. This isn't gonna be easy. Now, as dumb as Trump's argument is, he was actually going to get another chance to make it later this month to yet another primetime audience for his annual State of the Union address. But presidents technically have to be invited to give the State of the Union by the Speaker of the House. And today, because of the shutdown, Speaker Nancy Pelosi asked Trump to reschedule his State of the Union address or deliver it in writing. That's such a great burn because you know when Trump heard reschedule, he thought, yes. But when he heard deliver it in writing, he thought, no! I would love to see Trump write down his State of the Union. I can imagine what that would look like. It's fun. It's fun. Fun picturing Trump sitting down at a typewriter, punching the keys one at a time with his sweaty hand paws. Is wall spelled with one L or four? I'll just use all the L's. What we're witnessing right now are the desperate gasps of the Trump agenda. The wall was the signature promise of his campaign and presidency. He's been talking about it for 3.5 years, but now it's slipping away with Democrats in control of the House. And in his desperation to save face and get a deal, Trump is throwing everything he said about the wall out the window. For example, he said Democrats didn't even have to call it a wall and offered one very strange suggestion.
This is where I ask the Democrats to come back to Washington and to vote for money for the wall, the barrier, whatever you want to call it, it's okay with me. They can name it whatever they can name it, peaches. I don't care what they name it.
They should call his bluff and name it Donald Trump's B.O. Then his supporters would have to say, Donald Trump's B.O. has been very effective in keeping immigrants out of the country. And that isn't even the weirdest suggestion for what the wall should be called, because last week, Louisiana Republican Senator John Kennedy said, you can call it a barrier, you can call it a wall, you can call it a Wang Doodle for all I care. Wang Doodle and peaches don't sound like names for a wall, they sound like a euphemism for a guy's junk. Did you hear about Rudy? He accidentally sat on his Wang Doodle and banged it into his peaches, and that explains why he looks like that. So now Trump is throwing out all of his campaign promises about the wall and saying Democrats can call it whatever they want. But one thing he guaranteed, the one thing that was crucial to the whole idea, was that it would be impossible to get through.
So we're going to build a wall, and it's going to be impenetrable. We will begin working on an impenetrable, physical, tall, powerful, beautiful southern border wall.
Physical, powerful, and beautiful. Was he building a wall or setting up a Tinder profile for it? Physical, tall, powerful, beautiful, works hard, plays harder. And as dumb as the wall is, literally the only point to building one is to make it impenetrable. And Trump repeatedly promised he could do it because that's what he does. He's a builder.
Look, as a builder, nobody in the history of this country has ever known so much about infrastructure as Donald Trump. I build infrastructure. Do I know how to build a wall? Our nation's in such trouble. That's why being a builder, and a great builder, and a very successful builder, I think will greatly help. Donald Trump, another great builder in New York, now a politician. I can't stand this. A politician? I don't want to be called a politician.
Oh, don't worry. No one thinks you're a politician. We think of you as a politician the way we think of Shaq as a movie star. So the only point in building a wall is to make it impenetrable, and yet last week it was reported that testing of a prototype proved it could be cut through with a saw. And they even got a photo of the wall after it had been sawed open. Last week, Trump was asked about that report, and the guy who repeatedly promised impenetrable walls said this.
What good is a steel wall if they can saw through it?
Well, that's a wall that was designed by previous administrations. There's nothing that can't be penetrated, but you fix it. But it's a very difficult thing to do. But that's a wall, and they have other walls. We have many walls under consideration.
I love how you can tell when Trump is lying because he circles through every explanation he can think of in 5 seconds. It was Obama's fault. Nothing is impenetrable. We have other walls. Next, he's going to say, they can't saw through the new one because we made it out of saws. All right, but so what? Maybe they can just find a new, stronger material and make sure the wall is impenetrable. Problem solved, right? I mean, it's not like there's some other super obvious way to get around a wall.
During a roundtable discussion with law enforcement officials, Mr. Trump was told some border crossers have been digging tunnels under areas where walls are already in place.
Here, this is just a couple of miles from here, from where we're standing. This is a tunnel. This is the second tunnel that recently that we have located. This is an area that we actually have wall.
That's right. They already had a wall there, and someone just tunneled under it. Trump's wall is so stupid that not only can it be beaten by a saw, it can be beaten by Bugs Bunny. In fact, if you listen to Trump explain how he thinks migrants sneak across the southern border, he might actually be thinking about Bugs Bunny.
They get off the road, and they drive out into the desert, and they come on, they make a left turn. Usually it's a left, not a right.
I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
Every day, we find out more about how useless the wall is, and that's why public opinion is against it. And every time Trump sees a new poll about the shutdown, it's like a kick in the Wang Doodle land.
Peaches.
There's been a closer look.